Well, good evening once again, and welcome to the Monday Review Show. I'm joined as usual by my very good friend across the water, Keith Hackett, former FIFA referee, former Premier League referee, and of course, former head of the PGMOL. Now, this is the show where we discuss all things refereeing, and there's been quite a bit happening, and not only on this side of the world, but certainly with the African Cup of Nations also taking place at this time. And everything appears to be going very, very smoothly, apart from the game the other night, where the Egyptian referee was really hassled and barracked and had to be protected. Well, I say protected because I have big criticism, and I certainly put it up on Facebook, that players were allowed to gather around him and push him and shove him, and no security in sight, which was very, very bad and shouldn't have been allowed to happen. But that's another issue. If we get time, we'll talk about it tonight. As usual, if you'd like to make any comments on the show or about the show, please do so. There'll be a little thing on the bottom right-hand side of your screen where you can just swipe across, leave your comments there, or if you want to ask a question, by all means do so. And Keith and I will endeavor to get around to that during the show. But as usual, I'm delighted to be joined by Keith again. And thanks very much, Keith, for coming on the show.
Pleasure.
Now, Keith, we had, you sent me a couple of things which we will discuss.
Yes.
3 issues you sent me, and we'll go through them one by one. The first one, this young lady, Rebecca Welch, who's now in the SG1, which is the Premier League referees, effectively, for people who don't know what a SG1 is, a senior group 1. Am I right in saying that? Senior group 1.
Yes, I think what she's probably doing is, in fact, being trialled for actually promotion to SG1. What has happened?
Trial.
The PGMOL have developed this special group where I think what they're trying to do is accelerate people into the top tier.
Yeah.
And therefore, there's a number of players within the current 20 permanent referees. There are 5 who've had 1 game. This was Rebecca's 2nd game. So her first game went really well. I think generally this game that she refereed at Bournemouth yesterday went extremely well, but there's been a lively debate about the red card that she issued.
So can you paint us the picture around that? Because I didn't see it.
Yes.
It wasn't live over here in Ireland, certainly.
A player gained possession of the ball just short of the halfway line, heading towards his opponent's goal. There was plenty of defenders around, so it wasn't dogs though. And the player tattled from behind and brought the attacking player down. She instantly showed a red card. I was looking at the game and I went, wow, that's harsh. And I had another look and I'm thinking, it still looks to me to be harsh. But in fairness to the media, and I say this, a lot of the ex-players have actually supported her red card because the landing foot of the player who made the challenge made contact with the Achilles of the attacking player. But what I think was, this is my opinion, I still believe that was a reckless challenge and not one that was serious foul play. And I think, again, what we have to understand in serious foul play is the measure of brutality and malice and excessive force.
And reputation, I guess, as well.
Yeah, you also have to look at excessive force in relation to the challenge for reckless. But I was satisfied that had she given a yellow card, no one would have complained. She issued a red, and VAR didn't come in because VAR took the view it wasn't a clear and obvious error. So it was one that I think if you get the opportunity, that's our listeners and into this show as referees can take a look at it and form their own opinion, because it's one of those challenges that I would have been taking back if I was still the boss of the PGMOL. I would have been taking that, showing that clip, asking the referee to talk through how she saw that incident, and then discuss it amongst the group of referees. Because I think it's one of those learning curves. It's this, when we look at foul challenges, we have to consider careless, reckless, and excessive force. And, you can't draw a straight black and white line in each block, because there's a merge that takes place. And it coming into that equation has to be the state of play. Has that player been spoken to previously? What is the state of the game? This was in the 84th minute, I believe, or around that. So you look at it, and I wanted to highlight it as an incident that is difficult when referees are making these challenges. I suspect a more mature referee would have issued a yellow, and that would have been the end of the matter. Here is the referee, second game, gaining experience, although experienced at championship level, gaining experience, goes for the instant red. Body language was positive. Action was swift. So within the old context, what might have been a questionable decision was sold to the media very strongly, with the media supporting the red card today. So it just shows the game that we're in refereeing, selling decisions in a positive manner, persuading other people that are viewing that you've made the right call.
And I suppose, in fairness to her, she didn't flinch.
Absolutely not.
She didn't chicken out of giving a red card.
No. And this was if you read the reports, this was a difficult game. It was stop-start. So it's one where you can lose confidence when you're faced with those sort of matches. Yeah. But refereeing is about having a white sheet in front of us, and we're an artist that's painting pictures, and we can only deal with these things that are put in front of us. Yeah. The preparation, and I know you are, because I'm the same, we're strong believers in visualization, in our training and coaching of match officials. And this is when, if a referee, as you can be driving the car and you're in the countryside, and yes, you've got concentration, but sometimes when I was on the train, I'd say, right, okay, in my own mind, I'd create a scenario. The player going down the wing, he's brought down. How would I react? How would I deal with the wall? I mean, I was talking last week in midweek with a young referee who was saying how difficult it is now. He paces out the 10 yards and he gets that 9.15 meters, if we want to talk in those terms. And that's the defensive wall. But now he's got a secondary problem. He's got to ensure that the attacking team players are a meter away from the wall. And how that has created, if you like, an additional burden on the referee that you and I didn't face. And how that wall, it is 9.15 meters. They've made that clear, but that back wall squeezes forward at the point at which the player is taking the kick. And this referee had an observation from an observer who said you should have had the restart because it wasn't a meter. But he was saying, look, I've gone through the process. At the point I was blowing the whistle, the law was fulfilled. The wall was 10 yards away, 9.15 meters, and the attacking team were a meter away. But these are the, if you like, the visualization. And I talked and said, look, visualize it. Could you improve it and could you do better? So those come from those situations.
Here's an issue, Keith, and it's just come to my mind now. If at a free kick, the players have to be 10 yards. Let's use old money because people are still talking about it.
Yeah.
And the others have to be 1 yard, 1 meter, the attacking players away. Could or would a similar situation not work at the taking of a corner kick where there's wrestling matches going on? I mean, it's nothing short of all-out wrestling, pushing, shoving, pulling. I saw a game recently, Everton, and can't remember recently, but one of the Everton players was standing in front of the goalkeeper. And even if the goalkeeper tried to go around him to get in front of him, he still went to block. Now, that is surely obstruction.
Well,
what I would do there, personally, if I was still refereeing, it's one of two things. It's either a penalty kick to the attacking team as soon as the ball is in play, of course, or it's a free kick to the defending team. But allowing that going in, total absolute waste of time talking to the players. Stop it. I'm not going to have this. And you're no sooner steps back and the whole thing starts again.
Well, I generally, I mean, that's the first time that I've heard you mention that, just to say that we don't have a pre-planned conversation. I honestly think, Errol, that is a really good suggestion. That at corner kicks, they apply the same scenario.
1 meter,
kicks. Maybe that our suggestion to the IFAB, the lawmakers, is that they should consider that, because there is no doubt that grappling and unfair impeding is now a real problem at set piece.
It's epidemic level. It's dreadful.
You know, I mean, I said to somebody today, we're paid to referee a football match, not a game of rugby.
Yeah.
And that's what it's got to. I mean, looking at the big rugby games this weekend, a player sent off, not even a visual form of dissent from the player. He just went.
France-Ireland game, yeah.
Yeah, and off he went. I mean, I've gone, right, fine. But I watched the rugby this weekend and I watched a wonderful refereeing. I'm not looking at it from a technical knowledge point of view. I'm actually looking at how they communicate, how they're talking to the players, how they're keeping us informed. But it's preventative, proactive refereeing all the time. And I'm thinking, this is what we should be doing as referees, not reactive refereeing. Let it all escalate and do nothing and then sort it. Let's try and get in early and prevent. Don't be officious. Use the words, I want an improvement when you're talking to players. I want an improvement. An improvement in what? Behavior. Stop grappling, all those sort of things. But I share your view on that, those corner kicks, when the referee goes in and says, I want you apart. It comes out and you just go, what a waste of time. Yeah, what a waste of time.
Okay, well, a couple of more things to get, but I see Marcus come on, and I'm going to put him. Marcus was on last week to us, and he's joined us again. So he's got a question here, Keith, and we'll just give a brief comment on it. And he wants to know, hi, Errol and Keith, it's Mark from Dublin here. Enjoying the show, just wanted to ask of you how you thought Anthony Taylor performed yesterday in the Arsenal-Liverpool game. Personally, I thought he did very well, as the game was very fast-paced and he appeared to keep up with play. Now, Mark, just to let you know, and I've said this many times, we're not in the business of criticizing referees for the job that they're doing. It's a damn difficult job, and Keith and I know we've been there.
Yeah.
But we do criticize the things that they're not doing that they should be doing. But in this instance, this is kudos to, if you like, to Anthony Taylor.
Yes. Well, I share Marcus's view. I think that his movement around a football pitch is pretty consistent. He's a quick, very fit match official. There's no question about that. And the game itself got quite tetchy, and a level of indiscipline came into the game. And as a result, the yellow cards started coming out. And his body language remained neutral. He didn't look as though he was angry. He just said, right, you've broken the laws of the game. I'm going to caution you. And of course, in that situation, for a young referee, when you have a high number of yellow cards, you've got to make certain that you've got some record here so that you don't run into the problems that Graham Poll had in the World Cup of issuing 3 yellow cards for the same player, or actually 2 yellow cards to a player and not a red, because that sometimes happens.
Yeah.
He's gaining, if you like, good contact with the game because he's reading the game well.
Yeah.
One area that concerned me was that, and it was the actions of the Arsenal manager. Remember, we had 2 volatile managers here, Klopp and Arteta, both of whom are quite happy to wander miles from the technical area.
Unbelievable. Yeah.
And on one occasion, which could have caused a great deal of problems, and that is Arteta ran down the line, gained possession of the ball, threw it to a team member of Arsenal, who took the throw-in very quickly, and there was a chance of a break. Now, I don't know whether Taylor did this, but I know he did, because he stopped the play and he gave a foul throw, which I thought was interesting.
Oh, is that the one that the foul throw? I just heard them saying the foul throw, and I said, "What, foul throw in a Premier League game?"
Yeah. I think this is where an experienced referee like Taylor uses his ring craft and experience. And it starts stretching laws. It's not a bending of the laws. It's going, here, how do I deal with this? Foul throw.
Now, Marcus, you see what you've done? You've opened a whole can of worms now.
Yeah.
Thank you for your comments, and keep them coming in. And by the way, anybody else out there, if you'd like to make comments, please do so. Little squiggly thing there on the bottom right-hand side of your screen, you can send in your comments. Keith, the second one you mentioned was crowd trouble at the Barnet-Whittlestone game. What was that about? I didn't pick that up.
I think it was interesting because I learned last night that post-match, the chairman of one of the clubs had come out and expressed great concern about the behaviour and perhaps the animosity between these 2 clubs in the National League, and that they've had problems in the past. I wasn't aware of that. But in reality...
Which level is this, Keith? Was this be in the overall level 5 or 6?
This is one outside the Football League.
Yeah, so number 5 in the tiers. In other words. Yeah.
And so what we had was a goal being scored and crowd problems. Now, I have not seen a film clip of it. I've seen photographs of it. Therefore, there was a problem. They recognised the problem. But in addition to that, I understand that the referee was hit with a smoke bomb.
Oh.
Now, that is the worry. And I think that when we actually look at the scenario between the West Brom Wolverhampton game the previous week in the FA Cup, where we saw crowd surge, players getting involved quite dramatically, And in that situation, there was a players injured and the like. And I'm just like, you mentioned it at the opening of the show, in the AFCON crowd misbehavior.
Yeah.
Then we've really got to take this more seriously, because my real concern here is I don't want it to happen at the professional game, because you and I lived in an era of the 70s, 80s where it was a fairly regular occurrence.
Yeah.
And we don't want that back. But the real problem for me is grassroots referees. They have no protection. They rely very much on the support of the home team in relation to the administrator, the secretary, ensuring that they arrive at the ground, they're met, they referee a football match that they want to enjoy, and they move away from the ground safely. But it's, it just, these sort of things that happen at the senior level do cascade down and do create problems, for sure.
And it's certainly when you get in even lower leagues, if you like, Sunday morning stuff, where a referee can be on his own with no assistance. So he's really absolutely on his own, no assistance, no fourth official, none of that. And as you say, relying on the home team for his protection. I mean, it's appalling, and it does trickle down.
Yeah. And, we want referees at grassroots level to enjoy the game. We want referees throughout to enjoy the game. It's a sport, and we like our participation. We shouldn't have to worry about issuing a red card and then being assaulted.
Yeah.
We're applying the laws of the game. And I think that to nip this in the bud, I think that the FA have got to come in pretty quickly. They've got to examine this one at Barnet Wilson. They've got to examine that in detail very quickly and do something about it. One of the things is that clubs are trying to save money. And as a consequence, I listened to a conversation yesterday where some stewards at Wembley look about 15, 16-year-old. They're not going to control a crowd.
No.
And, in our day, you probably have about 50 policemen turn up.
Yeah.
Towards the end of the game, it doesn't happen anymore, but they used to march in. You knew that you were in the last minutes of the game because they came and they were a metre apart down the entire touchline.
Yeah. I tell you, this is where I absolutely have to hand it to the Premier Soccer League in South Africa. Even we mentioned last week about teams wearing similar colours and so on. 3 to 3.5 hours before the game, the match commissioner is in there, not with the referees, but with all the other interested bodies, the security, the teams bringing in their colours, showing exactly what colour they're wearing, all of that. And then you have referee security bringing the match officials onto and off the field and away from the ground. Absolutely, 100%, Keith. Honestly, a lot of countries could learn a lot from that. And I'm not promoting the Premier Soccer League in South Africa because I was there, but I'm doing it because I experienced it. And it's absolutely brilliant. And I don't know why they couldn't have that. But even worse is at lower league levels, on, like I said, the Sunday morning job, and we have them here as well in Ireland, referees going out on their own. No lines, assistant referees, no fourth official. Absolutely.
When I refereed at grassroots level, and I did throughout my career, you probably had one man and a dog at the side of the pitch.
If you're lucky,
Well, young referees now are coming on 15, 16 years old and less, so are faced with spectators standing 2/3 of the pitch. I mean, a couple of hundred spectators at some grassroots football match. The entire family come and watch the game, and the consequence of that sometimes is that they're rowdy. They become over aggressive. I mean, one of the things that a colleague has done he's based in Liverpool, Mal Lee, and he operates Don't Cross the Line. And his idea was quite simple, and it works very efficiently. And that was 1 metre from the touchline, on the spectator side of the field, he has posts going in, and he has the tape running across that says "Don't cross the line," and it goes down the entire touchline, and what it prevents is you could push it over very comfortably, but in reality, it's just a physical barrier that says "Don't cross this line." And he's done a great deal in grassroots football in the northwest Merseyside area, encouraging young referees, giving them the support, and I think credit to him, because there are a number of people in the game who are, very, very positive about ensuring young referees get a good start in their career.
Indeed. Keith, the third one you brought up was Newcastle Luton, Thomas Bramall.
Yes. I thought it was interesting because and the Spurs manager this weekend talked about referees' positivity, lack of hesitancy. And I thought it was an observation that I've made in the past in relation to how referees are hesitating. And looking at the Newcastle match, the referee was Thomas Bramall. He's a referee who can officiate really well and has got to the Premier League. He's not had that many games, but I was watching him closely at Newcastle, and there was hesitancy in his decision-making that I've not seen before.
Yeah, I saw that too, Keith. Could that be maybe because lack of experience, lack of confidence, maybe just had a couple of games under his belt?
I think there might be that, but I think also that it could be the impact of having VAR on what is it. I mean, let me give you the scenario. The attacker was going down the right wing, very close to the assistant referee, and he was fouled outside the penalty area and fouled inside the penalty area, right? The assistant flagged very vigorously. And he didn't point to the mark or do anything. He just hesitated in his entire decision. And I talked at the beginning of this show about Rebecca Welsh selling the decision, a questionable decision in my mind, but selling it to the fans, to the spectators, and the media who supported her. And here we had a penalty kick decision, correct decision in the end, but the referee showing great hesitancy in his award. And it was almost like I'm waiting for somebody to tell me in my ear it's a penalty kick. I'm waiting for the confirmation. With VAR, you make the decision that you see with the confidence, and then it can be reviewed if they decide that it's going to review it. But if you're hesitant, they're going to review it because it sends their own signal.
I'm just, Keith, I have on my screen, other screen here, Brentford and Man City, and Brentford are leading 1-0. But just what we spoke about a moment ago, the pushing and shoving at a corner kick was just, I was just seeing it out of the corner of my eye, absolutely unbelievable. I just want to put another comment up here from Mark, where he says, yes, as Keith knows, I'm a new enough grassroots ref here in Ireland. I'm always on my own. And when you're on your own with a lot of fans around, I need to be aware of my surroundings in terms of my own personal safety. However, common sense prevails a lot if you're on your game. Now, that's really saying exactly what we spoke about a moment ago. You have to be on your own, but you must not, Marcus, you must not deviate from what you think is you're making the correct decision. And I know there's personal safety involved. If you find that it's too much, then, just abandon the game and walk off the field. But do not be deviated and do not be persuaded to give anything other than what is, in your opinion, the correct decision. Very difficult, I know. And any any hassle you may get from any players, from any team, absolutely do not forget to report them to the authorities, and hopefully they'll take action.
You know, I've had one or two exchanges with Marcus, and he's had a great start to his career. He's confident, you know, and that comes through in the exchanges that I have with him, and he sends the right messages out. The one thing is, in the words that he writes, you get the picture of his enthusiasm. You get the picture that he's going to work hard to perform at his best in every game that he officiates. And, you know, when players and parents see that, and they see a firm referee applying the laws, right, there's a forgiveness, because they think, wow, I'm confident in what this guy can do and say. But look, there are times when you will be confronted. I can remember I'd refereed Real Madrid on the Wednesday night, and on the Sunday morning I was doing a kids game, and I was confronted with a parent having given an offside decision. All of a sudden, this woman came running onto the pitch and saying, "You haven't got a clue. You don't know what offside law is." And then the spectators around the pitch started clapping, and I just was bemused by it. But this is what happens in referee, and you know, surprises do come. Be ready for them.
Keith, as always, many thanks. Great having you on the show. I'm sure we'll have lots more to talk about again next week. And for you out there, please keep viewing, keep sharing. By the way, if you enjoy the show, please share it to your friends. And until next Monday at same time, 8 o'clock. Until then, goodbye and God bless you all. Thank you.
Bye,
Thanks,
everybody.
Keith.
Bye.